Welcome to this podcast from Stratfor, leader in global intelligence.
President Barack Obama is back in the United States, facing a host of domestic problems after 3 days of talks with Russia's leaders, a largely inconclusive G8 summit in Italy, and a 24-hour visit to Ghana. Little progress was made in Moscow. The G8 didn't really end up saying anything, but during his 1 day in Africa, Obama was able to say publicly what few other Western leaders can do without sounding patronizing, telling Africans in effect they need to put their own house in order. But of course Obama is an Afro-American and has a wife who can trace her forefather as one of the early slaves shipped from Ghana to the United States. Welcome to Stratfor's Daily Podcast. I'm Colin Chapman. The President's strongest message came in a speech on democracy in the capital Accra. No country, he said, is going to create wealth if its leaders exploit the country to enrich themselves or have police bought off by drug traffickers. No person wants to live in a society where the rule of law gives way to the rule of brutality and bribery, he said. That's not democracy, that's tyranny, and now is the time for it to end. Africa doesn't need strong men, it needs strong institutions. And that's it in a nutshell. Even as Obama spoke, the military junta in another West African country, Guinea, was warning its people to prepare against a threatened coup and attacks by drug warlords. Guinea is one of several staging points for the shipping of cocaine into Europe. Most of these drugs are said to originate in South America, particularly Venezuela. Corruption is widespread in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. The gold trade between East African ports and the Persian Gulf city of Dubai is an established route for money laundering. A drug trade of a different kind plagues East Africa, with pharmaceuticals sent by aid agencies to combat diseases like tuberculosis regularly pilfered and sold into black markets. The one country that could help put a stop to corruption in Africa is Switzerland, if it revealed details of the bank accounts held there by many a politician or civil servant, but that won't happen. China was seen by some Africans as a saviour to failing economies, as representatives from Beijing and Shanghai sought to buy up farmland to grow wheat and other crops, as well as investing in minerals. But the Chinese have, to a large extent, fallen from favour, as their enterprises have brought little benefit to the locals. The latest initiative, announced on Friday at the end of the G8 meeting, is a $20 billion programme to help African farmers improve their techniques and self-sufficiency. But no one knows yet who will run the scheme and how it will work, let alone if it will work. If Obama has a new African policy or is thinking about one, it wasn't obvious from his well-received speech. Bush's focus was on where America saw its self-interest, particularly Nigeria and South Africa. Nigeria is the fifth largest supplier of crude oil to the United States, has 140 million people, and is West Africa's major military power. South Africa is the continent's strongest country and is also a military power as well. It's hard to see why America's priorities would change, and yet Mr. Obama's strong sense of history and his choice of Ghana as the venue for his first visit to the continent as president suggests a wider interest might prevail. Africa is rich in fertile land and in minerals of every kind, including many strategic minerals like uranium. What is missing are trustworthy institutions capable of harnessing what Africa has for the benefit of all its people, not those who are self-selected. It'll be interesting to see whether Africa's so-called strongmen prevail. I'm Colin Chapman at Stratfor. Thanks for being with me today. Bye for now.